What's up, everybody? Big Herc 916, getting down with Fresh Out. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share the channel. Make sure you go to freshoutseries.com, pick you up some merch, represent, because you know you're dealing with the realest on YouTube. And I'm here with the homie Lil John, man, and we about to get into some conversation. Lil John,
Hey there.
share with the people a little bit about your background and how you became a gang leader in Oakland.
All right, first of all, let me introduce myself real quick. My name is John Diesel, man. You already know what it is, man. John Diesel, man, again. Anyhow, so, the streets call me Lil John. I'm from Oakland, California. I'm a border brother, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people kind of like, man, he's a border brother, you know what I'm saying? But nah, that's how I grew up, and that's who I roll with in the penitentiary. For those of you that know, the Border Brothers are in alliance with the Southsiders, and so we do have ties right there. He asked how I became a gang leader. So I used to be part of a clique from the Border Brothers gang. And when I came home from YA, I just knew I was the toughest motherfucker around. And everybody else, all the other neighborhoods were slinging dope. So I had to start my own shit. So on 39th, where I grew up at, 39th Avenue in East 12th in San Leandro, shout out to my brother Oso, man, because he was there before me, man. He's the one that helped me put it together. And Midget from El Monte Flores. When he paroled from YA, we started 39th. We made it a dope spot. And so as far as the term leader, I want to say more influential. I had more influence than everybody, and it just seemed like everybody that I was getting into fights with, I would always be victorious. You know what I'm saying? Plus I had a bunch of dudes behind me. You know what I'm saying? So leader, my homies might be like, he ain't wasn't no leader or whatever. But I consider myself a leader. Hell yeah, I started the gang. Why wouldn't I be the leader? Mm-hmm. But it was more of an influential thing. I just had more influence than all the other dudes, you know what I'm saying? So. And
what time frame was this? Like what year was all this going down?
This was in the early 90s all the way up until about 97. When I went to the penitentiary, 97, I went to the penitentiary and that's when it got real thick, you know what I'm saying? That's when it got real heavy. That's when I really learned what I was really involved in, when I went to prison and found out what the real definition of Border Brothers and the Mexican Mafia and the Big Four, you know what I'm saying?
So before you got out though, you mentioned that you were in YA, and for those who don't understand what YA is, break it down for them on the whole California Youth Authority system.
CYA is like a prison for minors. They'll hold you up there till you're about 25, you know what I'm saying? But it's like the most violent criminals, teenagers, just the worst society has to offer, you know what I'm saying? So they send them to YA, and it kind of prepares you for prison, you know what I'm saying? Because most of the dudes that go through YA, they either end up dead or end up in prison. Because I end up seeing most of the dudes that I've seen in YA, I end up seeing them in prison or right now they're dead. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So YA is like a preparatory place to get you ready for what's coming next, which is the feds or the state penitentiary.
Yeah. Yeah, I always tell people that rehabilitation in CYA is kind of hard unless you go to like a fire camp, where you can get outside the walls, because in YA, everybody's banging up in there hard.
Exactly.
I mean, I've seen dudes jump over the counter serving eggs,
yeah.
Banging on dudes,
yeah.
like, homie, where you from? Like literally in the kitchen,
yeah.
Or run across the yards, because, they got the different dorms and people be running across fighting and stuff. And
right.
It's crazy, man.
It's crazy.
It's a whole nother element. So, once you got to the pen, how did all that play out with you having been involved on the streets? Did a lot of that kind of spill over into the pen?
Yeah, a little bit, because we had a lot of rivalry with the Norteños. Border Brothers, our main enemy was the Norteños. There was no Sureños in Oakland at that time. It was just Norteños. And it was gunplay. It was serious gunplay. But when you get to prison, the Border Brothers, we function with the paisas. But at that time in the early 80s and 90s, the Border Brothers was a gang that started to protect the paisas. And we were doing a lot of the footwork for the legends. You know who the legends are. I call them the legends, those dudes that from the Big Four, you know what I'm saying? I call them the legends, you know what I'm saying? So we were doing a lot of footwork for the legends, on the main lines, because not a lot of us weren't getting validated, they were getting validated. But anyhow, so we were on the main lines, and the street beef, they really didn't push up on us about it, you know what I'm saying? But there was a couple of youngsters that would say, yeah, that's dude from Oakland, man. Yeah, they be tripping on us, whatever. So they try to bring the street stuff into the penitentiary, but it didn't work. It didn't work.
And what was most of the beefs on the street over?
The beef on the street was because we just didn't get along with them over a color, because they wore red and our color was black. Yeah. And they knew that our alliance was with the Southerners, you know, because we had a lot of Southsiders that moved up here and they ended up clicking up with us. You know what I'm saying? And even in the penitentiary, we, like I said previously, we're in alliance with them, you know what I'm saying? So the Norteños kind of like look at us. They use the term scraps. Oh, they're scraps, you know, no disrespect to nobody, but they use that towards us, you know what I'm saying? But even though we're not Southerners, you know what I'm saying? But they look at us, they tend to look at us as if we were them, you know what I'm saying? So
now for those who don't understand what the Border Brothers or Paisas are, can you explain that?
Yeah, let me explain. I did a video about it. If you want to check out it's on my YouTube channel, where I kind of got in, not too much into depth about what we are, but Border Brothers is a gang that started in Oakland, that was started from the penitentiary, from the feds and the state. Dudes paroled from prison, came to Oakland. A lot of them were from Oakland, and they started the gang Border Brothers. You know, and a lot of those dudes are originally from Tijuana. Tijuana's where the Border Brothers originally started from, and they, you know, and now it didn't turn into something big in the feds, because for those of y'all that have been to the feds, you guys know that in some places Border Brothers are thick.
Yeah.
In Arizona has a BB, which we are in connection with them. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get into detail about the politics, but Arizona took it to another level. See, they got generals and lieutenants and stuff. They got captains and stuff in Arizona. The BB movement in Arizona, they took it to another level. You know what I'm saying? We were more on the street level, and we really didn't know what the definition of BB, what BB meant. And I do this because I got the 2 B's on me right here. And that's something you got to earn in prison, just like everything else. You got to earn these letters. You can't just walk around with these letters and say, oh, I'm a Border Brother. Now you got to earn them things, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when I went to prison, we didn't know, you know what I'm saying? So they jammed us, hey, where you get them letters at, man? So you had to go put in some work, you know what I'm saying? So, but that's another story. And that's in the state. And like I said, Arizona took it to another level. They got their own thing, but it's still the same thing. When we go to the feds, we're all one. You know what I'm saying? But I don't really want to comment on Arizona. But Border Brothers is Hermanos de la Frontera, means mostly from the border. Tijuana, Mexicali, Ensenada, Juarez, and all the major cities along the border on the Mexico side. And there's Salvadorians and Guatemalans and Colombians. And shout out to my homeboy Gangster, man. He's from Venezuela. He's one of the originators, one of the starters of one of the Border Brother cliques in Oakland.
And then what about, like, for those who don't know what Paisa is, what is that?
Paisa means Mexican national. Somebody that was born on the other side of the border and is out here. Most of them are hard workers. They never really got themselves in trouble, you know what I'm saying? But they'll catch a DUI or a serious domestic violence, or maybe got caught with a pistol or something, and they went to prison, and they're not jailhouse oriented. You know what I'm saying? So they don't know too much about the jailhouse, you know what I'm saying? So then you got dudes like the Border Brothers, or even some cartel members that'll put them up under the wing and teach them, you know, teach them the ropes on how things are ran in prison. But Paisas has become a big movement in the feds, because as time goes on, they start learning the tricks of the trade. You know what I'm saying? You have to fall in. You have to learn. You know what I'm saying? So now the Paisas, a lot of them is returners. You know, the violators. They come back to prison. So and you know, and you got a lot of dudes. You got a lot of ex-gang members, north and south, that become Paisas in prison or became Border Brothers. You know what I'm saying? They got a little bit of street game. You know what I'm saying? But the term Paisa, it's mostly to identify a Mexican national, but in prison it's been taken to another level. You know what I'm saying?
And so, you know, in prison they have these different political infrastructures. Now, on the street, are you allowed to program outside of that? Do people kind of try to assimilate back into, you know, a more civilian lifestyle, or does a lot of that, you know, follow you outside too? Because a lot of people feel like, you know, can I go to jail and not have to, you know, get involved with that stuff? And then if you get involved, does it follow you on the street?
Once you're involved, you're involved. Just with anything, like anything else. Once you're involved, if you go to prison and you involve yourself into an organization like I did, you know what I'm saying, that's going to carry with you. That's going to carry with you until you die. You know what I'm saying? Does that mean I'm out here doing stuff like I'm active, or I'm out here doing stuff to get me locked up again? No. what I'm saying? But if I was to get locked up today, I would have to participate. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way it is. And that goes for everybody that gets involved in some type of organization or gang in prison. It's not mandatory that you come home and you gotta out here and take orders from inside the prison. You can, if you want to raise your hand and be like, you know what, I'm ready, I'm out here for y'all, like I have in the past. You know what I'm saying? I still talk to dudes that are in prison right now as we speak. You know what I'm saying? But I try to talk to them on a more positive note, trying to get them to come home. You know what I'm saying? And try to put the politics to the side for a second while we're on the phone. You know what I'm saying? Because that's all they're dealing with in there is politics. So when they talk to me, I try to talk about other things other than politics. But yeah, man, when you come home, it's really up to you on how you gonna guide your lifestyle and what you're gonna do to either better yourself or do something to get you thrown back in jail. You know what I'm saying?
And what's maybe one of the misconceptions about thinking that, you know, it's cool to, you know, rat, you know, telling the homie do this and that? Because, you know, you see it in the hip hop industry now. It's just like a lot of that is just so garbage, and people think like, oh man, you know, you get caught up, dude testifies, or he does a 5K on somebody, he does this and that. I know in the Hispanic culture, a lot of that they don't tolerate a lot of that. So how's that looked upon in prison? Because, you know, everybody's seen Tekashi, he right back out and running around, and seems like everything's A-okay.
You know, well, snitching, that's a phenomenon that's out of control now. You know what I'm saying? Because we got cameras now, so everybody can see what everybody's doing. You know what I'm saying? But they've been snitching, man.
Yeah,
people been telling since the Italian Mafia days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They've always had people telling. It's been rats since day one. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, snitching is a no-no with everybody, and everybody knows that, man. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people try to say, oh, these YouTubers, if you're a YouTuber and you're talking about this stuff, oh, you're telling on yourself or you're telling on somebody. Nah, man. We as YouTubers, we know what we can and can't say on here, man. You know what I'm saying? We know what's right. We know what telling is. Excuse me. We know that if we say something, we know if it's going to be looked at as ratting or snitching. But yeah, just like all the other groups, man, if you're out here, you know, talking to the police or talking to anybody that has ties with the police, they're going to look at you in some type of way, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you're, you know, like that dude, Porcho One. He works with the police. He has a side job or something, but is he in there telling?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what he's doing on the side, man, you know what I'm saying? But he has a YouTube channel, and a lot of people call him rat, a lot of people call him a snitch or something, because he has a job where it's right by the police station or something like that, something along those lines. But is he in there talking to the police about what's going on the street? Nah, man, the man got a degree in college or something, man. He walked away from his gang. So basically, when you come home from prison, it's up to you to see where you're gonna guide your life. You know what I'm saying? You can walk away from that lifestyle and don't get yourself in trouble and do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? This ain't like the 70s and 80s where if you joined and they asked you from prison to do something, oh, you got to go out there and do it.
Yeah.
They don't ask those type of requests that much no more. Like when I paroled from Salinas Valley, I was asked to do a few things and I took care of my business. You know what I'm saying? And that was that. But nowadays, this new generation, they'll ask you to do certain minor things when you parole and stuff like that. But that's something else. I don't want to get into all that.
Do you think for the most part, man, the streets is played out, man? There's so many other things you could do now with your life. Do you think that lifestyle is not what it was back in like the 80s and 90s, and now we've transitioned into a whole nother thing, like you said, with cameras and everything else now? Yeah, man, the lifestyle now is totally different. We already know. For those of y'all that was around in the 90s, we already know the 90s era was man. You know how that goes, especially in LA, in the Bay Area, Sacramento, Stockton, all these major metropolitan cities, man. Gangbanging was tough in the 90s, man. Nowadays, it's more like of a hip-hop, like a more hip-hop era, because everybody's doing hip-hop. All races, multicultural, right? Everybody wants to rap. Everybody wants to wear the chains, you know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to look flashy, you know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to look good on YouTube so the world can see what you're doing, you know what I'm saying? So, you can't be gangbanging on YouTube. You can't be ganging on camera, you know what I'm saying? So people still gangbanging out there, but gangbanging ain't what it used to be. But, you know, because of social media, a lot of people want to get involved with social media and drop videos here and there.
You could do a video about your enemy right quick and talk shit about him real quick and post it, you know what I'm saying? And more people are gonna see it than if you did it on the street without a camera. Saying that's the what's.
But how crazy is that though? Because like, you know, you've seen multiple times where they get these dudes and you rapping and stuff, but then they'll come up 2 years later, oh, we got a RICO. They've been watching you. You funded this dude over here and he's a drug dealer. I mean, a lot of these young people don't have any clue to how they're building their own cases.
That's true. That's true. See, that's one thing about the older cats. With all due respect, we got a little bit more game and knowledge about the underground world when it comes to dealing with the law. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we know what we can and can't do. We know what we can and can't say on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of these youngsters don't know. They'll sit there and pull out a pistol on the camera, or they'll go to a gang and hang out with some gang members, pulling out pistols and drug money and dope money, put it all on camera. Then you got a RICO. You know what I'm saying? So for all you YouTubers and all you rappers, man, just watch yourself, man. Watch what you do, man. Before you put that video up, make sure you edit that motherfucker. Make sure you know what you're putting up, man, because it will fall back on you. You will be sitting in the county jail on a federal case, man, on a dope case or an existing gang case. You know what I'm saying? You never know, because you might be talking to a gang member that got ties to something else. Now they tying you in with him. You know what I'm saying? So just be careful, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to just be on your P's and Q's, man. But stay on your toes, man. Again, stay on your toes, man.
There you have it. Big Herc 916 getting down fresh out. You tired of smelling like stanky butt, funky armpits? Wash your ass. Go to freshoutseries.com and pick you up a bar of soap.